Welcome to Literary Journeys. Today we bring you the summary of Blood Canticle, the 10th book of the Vampire Chronicles by Anne Rice. Remember, this is just a summary, not the full book. If you enjoy these dark and fascinating stories, subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Also, tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Every comment helps YouTube recommend the channel and grow our community of readers. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Lestat, the charismatic vampire, once again addresses his readers with his unmistakable defiant and egocentric tone. After his turbulent experience with Memnoch, he becomes obsessed with sainthood and redemption. He fantasizes about becoming a saint revered in churches, performing miracles, and transforming the world. However, his vampiric nature pulls him back into darkness. He reflects on his past, his power, and his legacy, acknowledging that his thirst for blood still dominates him. Torn between lamentations and outbursts, Lestat struggles between his desire to do good and his irresistible attraction to evil. Ultimately, he abandons his delusion of sainthood, accepting that his true destiny is to tell stories and embrace his role as the magnificent vampire his followers crave. With this resolution, he prepares to narrate a new chapter of his existence. Chapter 2. At Blackwood Farm, Lestat wanders through a cemetery near the mansion, mourning the recent death of Mayfair, who sacrificed herself in a ritual fire after exorcising the malevolent spirit that tormented Quinn Blackwood. The house is filled with mortals unaware of the truth about Quinn, who, now a vampire, struggles to maintain his connection to the living. Lestat observes Quinn's family, including the enigmatic Jasmine and young Jerome, as the mansion remains shrouded in grief over the loss of Aunt Queen. However, an unexpected visitor forces him to intervene. Mona Mayfair, a young witch on the brink of death, arrives after escaping from the hospital, determined to reunite with Quinn. Seeing her, Lestat understands her desperation and the terrible dilemma Quinn faces. Still influenced by his celestial vision, he wrestles with the temptation to save her with the dark gift. Chapter 3. Mona, gravely ill, lies among flowers on Quinn's bed, pleading to be saved. Lestat realizes that Quinn cannot turn her, so he assumes the role of creator. Mona drinks his blood with fierce hunger, transforming rapidly. Her body rejuvenates, her senses sharpen, and her thirst for blood is born in fury. During the trance of the transformation, Lestat glimpses fragments of Mona's life, her tragedy and her power as a Mayfair witch. Suddenly, the ghost of Uncle Julian, one of Mona's ancestors, appears, attempting to stop the transformation. Lestat dismisses him and completes the process. When Mona awakens, she is fully restored, with newfound strength and vampiric beauty. Quinn, captivated, embraces her, but Lestat warns them to avoid sharing blood, lest they lose their telepathic connection. Though the ritual has ended, the arrival of the Mayfair family at the house signals new challenges ahead. Chapter 4. While Mona and Quinn remain hidden, Lestat descends to confront the Mayfairs. Rowan, the enigmatic doctor, and Reverend Kevin arrive, intent on taking Mona back to the hospital. Rowan, with a piercing gaze, attempts to read Lestat's mind but fails, frustrating her. Lestat, with his usual wit, assures them that Mona is resting and free of pain, though he knows her transformation is a dangerous secret. Kevin insists on seeing her, but Lestat refuses, warning that they must respect her will. Meanwhile, Uncle Julian's ghost continues to haunt him. In an unexpected turn, Lestat perceives a dark secret within Rowan, an extraordinary power over life and death, a profound guilt. The confrontation ends with Lestat bidding them farewell with forced politeness, while Mona, now a vampire, weeps in her room, unaware of the fate awaiting her. Chapter 5. Mona, now a vampire, continues to sob in her room as Quinn tries to comfort her. Meanwhile, in Blackwood Farm's mansion, Lestat faces the ghost of an elderly Mayfair ancestor, who watches him with a condemning gaze. Intrigued, Lestat examines the spectral presence, but his mind drifts back to Mona and her suffering. Ascending to her room, he finds the young woman surrounded by flowers, devastated by her rebirth. He lies beside her, observing her transformation and confronting the guilt he tries to suppress. Mona, with her characteristic defiance, confesses that she believed she was meant to die and that she had been unable to pray in her final human days. Lestat, in his signature arrogance, urges her to embrace her new existence. Quinn, uneasy, watches the scene as Lestat assures him that both of them will be perfect. As Mona adjusts, she begins to experience thirst, the first undeniable sign of her new nature. Chapter 6. Mona, now with better control over her transformation, is dressed in the elegant garments of the late Ant Queen. Her change is astonishing, no longer a dying young woman but a radiant creature. Quinn, captivated, helps her prepare while Lestat mocks his jealousy. Tension in the house rises when Jasmine and Cindy attempt to see Mona, but Quinn evades them and carries Mona out of the mansion. In the limousine, they head to New Orleans. Along the way, Lestat guides Mona in her first experience of the world as a vampire, urging her to listen to the city's pulsing life. She surrenders to her heightened senses and the exhilaration of the night. With a predator's instinct, Lestat seeks suitable prey. Instead of mere humans, he finds two reckless vampires wandering the city, perfect targets for Mona's initiation. Chapter 7. As they travel to New Orleans, Lestat muses on his obsession with sainthood and the recent canonization of Juan Diego, wondering if redemption is within his reach. However, his vampiric nature pulls him back into the hunt. He senses the presence of two young, arrogant vampires who toy with human lives without remorse. Quinn, still haunted by his first failed hunt, grows uneasy, but Lestat reassures him with his unwavering confidence. Mona, on the other hand, is swept up in the excitement of the moment, eager to experience the power of her new existence. Lestat leads them toward their targets, preparing for the confrontation. The blood of these immortals will serve as Mona's baptism, a definitive step in her transformation. As the city hums with its usual chaos, the three vampires approach the inevitable confrontation, ready to dispense their dark justice. Chapter 8. Lestat, Quinn, and Mona arrive at their luxurious hotel in New Orleans. Mona, still entranced by her transformation, is led to the suite. There, they find two young vampires of Arab descent dancing to Bartók's violin concerto. The scene turns gruesome when they realize the rebels have been feeding on mortal children. Mona screams in horror, and the vampires, upon noticing Lestat's presence, fall to their knees in reverence. They attempt to justify their actions, claiming they followed his example, but he condemns them. The siblings try to escape, but Quinn captures the male vampire while Mona, with thirst gleaming in her eyes, approaches the female. Following Lestat's command, both feed until their victims are drained completely. Lestat then reduces the corpses to ashes with his fire gift, ensuring they never walk the earth again. Chapter 9. After executing the rebel vampires, Mona is dazzled by New Orleans. She dashes through alleyways, plays with reflections in puddles, and loses herself in the city's bustle. Lestat and Quinn follow her patiently, allowing her to explore her new reality. Eventually, they reach Lestat's apartment, where Mona momentarily slips away, eager to experience the world like never before. Quinn, concerned, wants to go after her, but Lestat dissuades him. In his home, Lestat succumbs to fatigue and the need for blood, though he struggles to resist. Meanwhile, the ghosts of the Mayfairs begin to surround him. Julian Mayfair and little Stella appear in a mocking vision, claiming they have taken over his world. Tormented by Mona's past and the shadows of the Mayfair family, Lestat faces a troubling truth. Mona's blood ties still bind her to her mortal legacy. Chapter 10. Upon awakening in the Talamasca retreat, Lestat senses Rowan Mayfair's powerful presence. Fascinated and unsettled by her influence over him, he decides to confront her. When he meets Rowan and her husband, Michael Curry, he perceives their distrust but also their desperation to know about Mona. Rowan, with her piercing gaze, scrutinizes every detail of Lestat, intuitively grasping his true nature. He attempts to reassure her, promising that Mona is safe, yet the tension between them only grows. As the conversation progresses, Lestat mentions Stella, provoking surprise and alarm. Julian Mayfair reappears, mocking the situation. As he departs, Lestat feels the dangerous pull of his attraction to Rowan, like an abyss from which he might not return. He leaves the house with unanswered questions, sensing that Mona's past still haunts him and that his connection to the Mayfairs has only just begun. Chapter 11. Lestat soars over New Orleans, trying to push thoughts of Mona and her unstable transformation from his mind. He meets Quinn on Rue Royale, who is carrying luggage into his apartment. Quinn assures him that Mona is well, immersed in writing, obsessed with documenting every nuance of her new existence. She has hunted for the first time but suffers episodes of paralysis that Quinn must supervise. Deep inside, Lestat feels trapped between his affection for them and the darkness of his own doubts. That night, in his room, he is visited by the ghost of Julian Mayfair, who challenges him with riddles and veiled threats. Julian seems to know more about Mona than he reveals. Meanwhile, in her philosophical fervor, Mona writes about the nature of her transformation and her place in the universe, questioning her relationship with God and the possibility of redemption. Chapter 12. Rowan Mayfair and Michael Curry burst into Lestat's residence, bewildered by Mona's miraculous recovery. Michael expresses relief and happiness, but Rowan, ever perceptive, is filled with suspicion. Mona, firm in her decision to distance herself from her family, assures them she is fine but makes it clear she needs answers about her past. As she approaches Rowan, the woman reacts with visceral horror, as if sensing something monstrous within her. Lestat intervenes, pulling Rowan from the room and calming her with his seductive power. Michael holds her, concerned, while Lestat observes her vulnerability with a mix of fascination and desire. Back with Quinn and Mona, Lestat faces the truth. Mona is desperately searching for her daughter, a creature born from her womb yet not entirely human. Quinn, shaken, realizes that Mona harbors secrets that could change everything. Chapter 13. Lestat stalks a victim in a city hotel, carrying out a dark mission. He finds a woman lost in alcohol and despair, fully aware that she has been marked for death. In a macabre exchange of words, the woman taunts him, indifferent to her fate. With his characteristic cynicism, Lestat approaches and bites her, immersing himself in her memories as he drains her life. In the ecstasy of the blood, he catches glimpses of her past, her childhood, fears, forgotten moments. As her final heartbeat fades, Lestat shatters the window and plunges into the night, leaving the corpse behind in the shadows. The city of New Orleans envelopes him, but the blood does not answer his questions. In his mind, the image of Rowan, her strength and mystery, torments him. Julian appears once more, mocking his dilemma. Lestat will neither possess Rowan nor escape the fate that binds him to the Mayfairs. Chapter 14. Lestat finds an article about the canonization of Saint Juan Diego and becomes engrossed in reading it before noticing a note from Michael Curry, who has stopped by to visit. When Michael arrives, he is disheveled and distraught. He explains that Rowan has lost her mind, muttering incomprehensible phrases, obsessed with her work at the Mayfair Medical Center, and unable to find mental peace. The situation is dire. She has been digging in the garden, mentioning Lasher and Emeleth, stirring up a past that should have remained buried. Mona and Quinn join the conversation, revealing secrets about the Mayfair family and the mutation that has marked their bloodline for generations. Mona, in particular, demands answers about her lost daughter, Morrigan. Lestat decides they must visit Rowan, convinced that only by facing the truth can they find peace. Chapter 15. Lestat, Mona, and Quinn arrive at the Mayfair mansion, a place steeped in history and mystery. Michael greets them, exhausted but determined. Upon entering, Lestat senses a strange aroma, an essence of the lost species of the Taltos. The house seems inhabited by unseen presences. Rowan appears in the dining room, wrapped in a crimson robe, her gaze vacant. Upon seeing Mona, she reacts with an outburst of madness, insisting that she is dead and must be buried. Michael tries to calm her, but it is Lestat who captures her attention. He confesses what he, Mona, and Quinn truly are, affirming that if Mona is now a creature of the blood, it was by her own will. Rowan surrenders to this truth, yielding to Lestat with a tacit acknowledgement of his nature. Michael accepts the revelation with a mix of resignation and understanding. Chapter 16. Lestat grapples with his love for Rowan, a feeling that consumes him without logic or reason. She is strong, a woman who has shaped her own destiny with intelligence and determination, yet she is also vulnerable to memories and guilt. Her sanity hangs by a thread, oscillating between lucidity and despair. In this moment, Lestat becomes the bridge between reality and the abyss for her. He desires her, but he knows Rowan will never surrender to such a feeling. Her will is unyielding like steel. As the others watch, Lestat embraces her, sealing a silent pact. The history of the Mayfairs is filled with shadows and secrets, but now there is a new truth to conceal. Mona and Quinn have crossed the threshold of humanity, forever changing the family's inner circle. Chapter 17. In the mansion's garden, surrounded by the night and the scent of flowers, the protagonists confront their truths. Mona asks that her secret be kept, hoping to one day reclaim her bond with the family. Rowan, barefoot and lost in thought, leads them to the tree beneath which the remains of the Taltos lie. The arrival of Dolly Jean, an elderly Mayfair, breaks the tension with her humor and knowledge of the bloodborne. But the pivotal moment comes when Rowan confesses her sin. She has given birth to 2 Taltos, perpetuating the family curse. Mona accuses her of letting her daughter disappear, but Lestat intervenes, reminding her that she now has the power to find her. The night bears witness to this catharsis, where the secrets of the Mayfairs and vampires intertwine, sealing a pact of trust and betrayal. Chapter 18. Rowan unveils the biological history of the Taltos, a primitive species of great intelligence and rapid reproduction. She explains their origins on a volcanic island and how their contact with humans led to chaotic hybridization. Pure Taltos are born with instinctive knowledge and grow within hours, feeding on maternal milk with healing properties. Michael and Rowan recount how this species intertwined with the Mayfair family over generations, giving rise to creatures like Lasher, a spirit who manipulated the family to be reborn. Rowan confesses that she gave birth to 2 Taltos but ultimately killed her daughter, Amaleth, in a fit of horror and remorse. Mona, enraged, demands answers about her own daughter, Morrigan, who was taken by a mysterious Taltos named Ash Templeton. Lestat decides to intervene, vowing to find Ash and Morrigan. Chapter 19. Lestat, Mona, and Quinn infiltrate a gathering of criminals in New Orleans, where a Russian pimp boasts of his power in human trafficking. Disgusted, Lestat decides to take action. Feigning interest in the business, he lures the pimp closer, while Mona seizes the opportunity to drain his blood. Quinn, meanwhile, handles the bodyguard. The scene unfolds without anyone noticing the vampire's intervention. After the slaughter, the trio leaves the place and returns to Lestat's apartment. During the journey, Mona, intoxicated by blood tainted with drugs, becomes erratic. Lestat, irritated by her behavior, demands that she change out of her provocative attire before discussing important matters. However, their conversation turns into a heated argument, with Mona accusing him of being controlling and selfish. Furious, Lestat casts her out, marking a rift between them. Chapter 20. At his apartment, Lestat tries to collect his thoughts after the fight with Mona. He reflects on his relationship with his protégés and his attraction to Rowan, feeling torn between his emotions. Amid his turmoil, the ghost of Julian Mayfair appears to mock him, reminding him of his failure to control Mona. Julian warns that Lestat has entangled himself too deeply with the Mayfairs and that Mona is more unstable than he realizes. At that moment, Stella, another spirit, bursts in with her childlike energy, contrasting with Julian's severity. Exhausted, Lestat seeks solace in his connection with Maharet, whom he invokes in a desperate attempt to find answers. His plea centers on the search for the Taltos and how to mend the damage done. As he sinks into contemplation, He receives a message from Blackwood Farm. Quinn is urgently needed. Chapter 21. Upon arriving at Blackwood Farm, Lestat finds the house in turmoil. Jasmine, terrified, claims that the ghost of Patsy has appeared to her, drenched and covered in algae, calling to her from the window. The discovery of a letter written by Patsy confirms that she had planned her suicide in the swamp, prompting the sheriff to close the case. However, her spirit continues to wander restlessly. Mona, now more composed, suggests that Patsy is unaware of her own death and that someone must guide her toward the light. Quinn promises to take care of it, but when confronted by the sheriff, who accuses him of murder, he responds with cold defiance. Finally, Quinn, Mona, and Lestat retreat to discuss matters privately. Visibly disturbed, Quinn confesses that he must settle unresolved issues and asks for Lestat's help. The night at Blackwood Farm is far from over. Chapter 22. In Quinn's renovated room, he, Lestat, and Mona discuss the future of Blackwood Farm. Quinn feels unable to take responsibility for the estate, yet Jasmine and Big Ramona need a Blackwood's presence to feel secure. Lestat suggests appointing Nash Penfield as the resident caretaker, a proposal that excites Quinn, who acknowledges Nash as the perfect candidate. When Jasmine hears the suggestion, she is thrilled and reassures them that the local community will see Nash as the ideal guardian of Blackwood's legacy. Meanwhile, Tommy, Patsy's son, plays a melancholic song composed by his mother, creating a moment of deep reflection. Feeling uneasy, Lestat walks toward the swamp, sensing the lingering presence of Patsy's spirit. In a vision, she appears vulnerable, trapped between this world and the next. Lestat urges her to follow the light, finally freeing her from her torment. Chapter 23. After releasing Patsy's spirit, Lestat returns to Blackwood Farm, exhausted and demanding to sleep in the late Ant Queen's room. Grateful for his help, Jasmine ensures that he rests undisturbed. In his dreams, Lestat is visited by the ghosts of Julian and Stella Mayfair. Julian provokes him, claiming that everything he does is driven by vanity and pride. Stella, with her innocent yet perceptive nature, tells him that his conscience acts independently of his soul, leaving him unsettled. Upon waking, Lestat finds Mona and Quinn seeking reconciliation. Mona admits that her hostility stemmed from jealousy, having sensed Lestat's affection for Rowan. With humility, she apologizes and promises to change. Lestat accepts her apology, though he remains doubtful of her sincerity. When the conversation turns to the search for Morrigan and the Taltos, Mona reaffirms her determination to find them, but Lestat warns her of the dangers they may face. Chapter 24. Before dawn, Lestat walks through the Blackwood Farm cemetery, feeling restless. Suddenly, a car arrives at the estate. It is Sterling Oliver, delivering a mysterious email from Maharet. In the message, Maharet reveals the existence of a private island in Haiti where the Taltos have secretly lived for years. However, she warns that the situation is uncertain and dangerous, urging Lestat to proceed with caution. Eager to depart, Lestat decides to wait until nightfall to travel with Mona and Quinn, acknowledging that Mona must refine her abilities before the journey. After bidding Sterling farewell, he returns to his room, where Big Ramona confirms that Patsy's ghost has vanished and describes a dream in which she saw Patsy singing in the afterlife. Before sleeping, Lestat encounters Julian once again, who continues to haunt him from beyond. Chapter 25. Mona, Quinn, and Lestat prepare to travel to St. Ponticus Island, where Maharet has indicated the possible presence of the Taltos. Lestat instructs Mona in the use of her abilities, and the group dresses extravagantly, convinced that they must confront the situation with boldness. Flying over the Caribbean, they arrive at the island and find a luxurious compound now occupied by drug traffickers. From the air, they observe armed men transporting cargo from a yacht to a plane, suspecting that the Taltos have either been exterminated or enslaved. Upon landing, they swiftly eliminate several traffickers, absorbing their memories in search of information. Entering the mansion, they discover Oberon, a Taltos held in chains. Upon freeing him, They learn that the secret community was destroyed in an internal uprising and later decimated by criminals. Mona demands to know the whereabouts of her daughter, but the truth they are about to uncover will change their fate forever. Chapter 26. Lestat, Mona, Quinn, and Oberon storm the mansion and confront Rodrigo, the leader of the drug traffickers. With him is Mirabel, another surviving Taltos. As Rodrigo attempts to flee, Lestat mercilessly executes him. Then Lorcan, a red-haired Taltos allied with the traffickers, appears. When confronted, she refuses to reveal the whereabouts of Oberon and Mirabel's parents. Finally, in the kitchen, they discover the frozen bodies of Ashler and Morrigan, dead for months. Mona is devastated. Shortly after, Rowan Mayfair arrives with a medical team to recover the bodies. Lorcan is captured and sedated to be taken to the Mayfair Medical Center, along with Oberon and Mirabel. Overcome with grief, Mona refuses to join them and decides to stay with Lestat and Quinn. As the plane departs with the last of the Taltos, Mona realizes that her dream of finding her daughter has ended in tragedy. Chapter 27. Lestat returns to Blackwood Farm after the horrors of the island. Exhausted, he sleeps in Aunt Queen's bed, while Mona contacts Maharet via email. Upon waking, he meets with Sterling Oliver on the terrace to discuss recent events. Sterling informs him that the Talamasca has recovered documents from the island and that the law firm Mayfair and Mayfair has confirmed that Ash Templeton left his fortune to Michael and Rowan Mayfair to care for his children. Meanwhile, Mona and Quinn return, drained and disturbed. Mona is heartbroken to learn that Ash and Morrigan's bodies are lifeless, preserved for study. Tension rises between her and Rowan as Mona questions her interest in the Taltos. Seeking distraction, Mona and Quinn leave to hunt. Lestat remains unsettled, sensing that Mona still does not fully understand her transformation and that Blackwood Farm's fate is uncertain. Chapter 28. At the Mayfair Medical Center, Lestat and his companions visit the room where Ash and Morrigan's bodies rest. The cold is intense, and Mirabel sobs uncontrollably. Mona and Oberon remain silent as Mirabel covers the corpses with flowers. After their farewell, they gather in a meeting room where Rowan introduces Lorcan, now dressed as a doctor and very much alive. Lorcan reveals that she had stolen money from Rodrigo and planned to free the Taltos. She had attempted to contact the Mayfair family but did not know Ash's legal identity. Now, she sees the hospital as a refuge for her species, convinced that they can live and work there in peace. After some hesitation, Oberon agrees. Rowan offers her support, and Mirabel is relieved. Mona, however, remains skeptical of Rowan and Lorcan's intentions. As the meeting concludes, Lestat realizes that his role in this story has ended and that his connection to Rowan no longer has purpose. Chapter 29. Lestat wakes up restless at Blackwood Farm. Julian Mayfair, the ever-intriguing spirit, appears to torment him once more, insisting that the fate of the Mayfair family is still at stake. Weary of his presence, Lestat confronts him and forcefully rejects him. The spirit burns and vanishes with a scream. Still unsettled, Lestat walks to the Mayfair Medical Center. But upon arrival, he realizes that his time with them has ended. His mission to save the Taltos is complete, and his ties to the Mayfair family must be severed. He walks away from the hospital, singing to himself for comfort. He knows he has an eternity ahead and that it is time to move on. Chapter 30. Lestat returns, exhausted, to Blackwood Farm and is met by Jasmine, who informs him that Quinn and Mona have left without saying goodbye. A mysterious visitor, Cayman, has left a letter for him. In Aunt Queen's room, Lestat opens Maharet's letter, where she explains that she has taken Mona and Quinn into her refuge to guide them in their new existence. She believes they are still too attached to their mortal lives and need to understand their true nature. Maharet also acknowledges Lestat's suffering and advises him to rest at Blackwood Farm, where he might find some peace. Lestat accepts his failure in mentoring Mona and Quinn, realizing that greater forces have surpassed him. He reflects on his connection to Blackwood Farm, the refuge it has provided, and his waning interest in Maharet's ancient truths. Finally, he surrenders to sleep, feeling defeated. Chapter 31. Lestat resigns himself to the routine of Blackwood Farm, wandering the estate and losing himself in thoughts about his past and his place in the world. One night, as he reaches his favorite tree in the cemetery, he encounters Rowan Mayfair. Desperate and feverish, Rowan throws herself into his arms and confesses her absolute love. They surrender to passion, but Lestat, aware of his destiny, stops her. Rowan longs to join him, to leave her life behind, but Lestat reminds her of the responsibility she still holds for the Mayfair Medical Center and the Taltos. Despite her pain, Rowan understands that it is not the time. They part ways with the promise of a future reunion. Lestat, devastated, returns to his room, doubting his decision. Before he sleeps, Stella's ghost appears to congratulate him. In his dreams, Lestat wrestles with the pull of sainthood and darkness, unable to escape the weight of his own nature. We've reached the end of Blood Canticle. Thank you for joining us on this journey through Lestat's world and the Mayfair witches. If you enjoyed it, subscribe, like, and share this video with other fans of the Vampire Chronicles. Now tell us in the comments, do you think Lestat found redemption, or is he forever trapped in darkness? Your voice keeps this community alive.